I won a jackpot on a cruise, and now my brother wants me to give him his fair share, just as the title says. I won a small jackpot on a cruise a week ago, a little over 10 grand. My brother was with me when I won. After getting the hand pay, I gave him 2 grand. Afterwards, he was passive aggressive for the next day. He wants half of it, doesn't he? On the last day, he proceeded to demand his remaining 3 grand. Yep, because he believes that we should have split it evenly because he didn't win. I reminded him that it was my money that I put into the machine, so why did he expect to get anything at all? And also, you already gave him 2 grand. Like, hey, that's 2 grand that you didn't have before. I told him that he should be grateful for what I gave him. Yeah, as I didn't have to give him anything at all. And he's since been passive aggressive again now that we've gotten back. I've also heard from mutual friends that he's been calling me greedy and how I'm selfish. Wow, that is so wild. They give him 2 grand and he complains about it. Like, yeah, thank you for giving me 2 grand when you definitely didn't even have to give me 2 grand. I really appreciate it. But no, they feel entitled to a clean split because he proceeded to demand his remaining money. I've never heard about somebody being given 2 grand and then complaining and having a hissy fit about it. The top comment says it was super generous to give him 2 grand. Yeah, and the comment below that, you shouldn't have given him anything in the first place. And the comment below that says tell him to go f himself. And the one below that, your brother's a jackass. You gave him 2 grand and he thinks that you owe him still. If my brother did that, I'd tell him to get the f out. Yeah, really, you didn't have to give him any money, but you were like, no, I'll give you 2 grand. And not only are they not grateful for that 2 grand, they're being passive aggressive and rude to OP and telling their friends that OP's greedy and selfish because OP didn't give them 5 grand. Jin cannot believe the audacity. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're having a great day today. In today's episode, we're reacting to some toxic entitled people. Once again, Jin's sitting next to me and I don't even know how. I'm so unbelievably grateful. And yeah, we're excited to read about some entitled people. He's so shiny on the camera. That's so cute. Okay, don't get distracted by beautiful Jin. We need to read about entitled people. Woman demands that I call the police because of a car in a handicap spot. So today I drove my mother to an appointment. We both qualify for handicap parking and I do have handicap plates. I walked my mother into the office where she had an appointment and there's almost no seating. So I tell her that I'll wait outside since I don't need to be in the appointment with her. It's a really nice day, so I sit on a concrete retaining wall about 15 feet away from my car and I read on my phone. After about 20 minutes, I notice a woman about my age has pulled up behind my car and they're just looking at it. After a couple of minutes, she spots me, comes over and then demands that I let her use my phone. Yeah, even though we've barely read anything yet, I already don't like where this is going. Like, they're already making demands. I asked her why and she said that her phone wasn't working and she wanted to report somebody illegally using a handicap spot. I asked her where the car was since you could see the little wheelchair on my plate from where we were and there was no other handicap spot in view and she points at my car. Yeah, of course. I asked what made it an illegal parking job and her response was that was where she always parks. Oh my god. Oh, that's terrible. You took my favorite parking spot? I'm calling the police. I'm 100% sure that some people don't have brains. Like, what are you talking about? You're gonna try and get this person in trouble when they've done nothing wrong because they're parked in your favorite spot. Like, hello, police officer, the entire world revolves around me because I'm super entitled. This person parked in my favorite car spot. Can you take them to jail? I told her that was my car and it wasn't moving until my passenger came out and it was legally parked. She stomped off towards my car, so I started recording her. When she reared back to kick the car, oh, come on. I yelled out that she was on candid camera and I had her plate number if she damaged the car and tried to run off. So she got in her car and drove away. She was about to kick your car. How infuriating can somebody be? About 30 minutes after, a city cop came by and stopped and looked at my car and then drove off. So I assumed that she found a working phone somewhere. Oh, that's so bad. And the cop didn't do anything because you didn't do anything wrong. That's the funniest part about this. This absolute dingbat that obviously has anger issues or something called the police on OP because they were in their favorite parking spot, trying to get OP in trouble even though OP did nothing. And a cop does come and check it out and they're like, oh, well, there's no problem here. And then they drive away. When she reared back to kick the car, I yelled out that she was on candid camera and I had her plate number. So she like wound her leg back, ready to kick the car. Can you believe the audacity? That is so infuriating. You feel like you can call the police on them because they're in your favorite parking spot. And then on top of that, you feel like you get to kick their car. I love this cat so much. Just sitting there licking himself. Oh yeah, this is nice. I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds horrifying. Our friend's entitled sister tried to force her way into our trip to Egypt. This story happened quite a few years ago with me and my friends, but after reading quite a few stories on this subreddit, I feel now is a good time as any to share this post. In November 2019, me and a couple of my friends who I'll call Haley, Rose and Rachel were given an opportunity to travel to the Valley of the Kings in Egypt. Note that we are archaeology graduates. While our families and friends were excited and proud of us being able to go on this trip, Rachel's family did not feel the same way. Rachel's younger sister, who I'll call Lisa, was the golden child of her family. Anything she wanted, her parents gave to her. While Rachel had to take out a student loan to pay for her college, Lisa's parents paid for her tuition only for Lisa to drop out 2 years in. Instead, Lisa chose to try and build a career being a model and influencer on Instagram. When Rachel mentioned she was going to Egypt with us, that our plane tickets and accommodation have already been taken care of for archaeological fieldwork, Lisa got jealous as she felt that a trip taking photos of herself in Egypt for Instagram would help launch her modeling career. Yeah, once again, we only just started this one and it's already bad. That being said, their parents demanded that Rachel give her tickets to Lisa as they felt that Lisa was more deserving of it. Oh, some parents are the worst. To which Rachel obviously said no, it was already paid for by the foundation, specifically for her and our group who were trained to do this kind of work. Yeah, and also you can't just give people your tickets. They have your name on them. You can't just hand somebody your ticket and be like, here you go. Oh, a-hole parents. According to Rachel, she's had back and forth arguments with her family leading up to the trip. It's so frustrating when parents have an obvious favorite and they turn them into the most entitled brat in the world while also expecting everybody else to just do everything for them. Get out of here. According to Rachel, she's had back and forth arguments with her family leading up to the trip that she eventually just left home and moved in with her boyfriend's, now husband's, apartment. I held onto the plane tickets as we were meant to meet up at my dad's place in the morning before we head off to the airport. At the time, I still lived with my dad. That said, as me, Rachel, Haley and Rose were at my place, just hanging out and getting ready, the car of Lisa and their mum pulled up as they came knocking on my door. Apparently, they were demanding one more time that Rachel gave her ticket to Lisa. Lisa even had a couple of bags with her as well. She packed... Oh my god. Oh yeah, I'll be able to guilt trip them into giving me their ticket, so I might as well pack my bags because I'm going to Egypt. So infuriating. Before I continue, just to give you a better understanding of Lisa and Rachel's family and why they may behave or think this way, Rachel's the only one in her family who's actually finished college. Rachel pretty much took care of herself for much of her childhood as her parents were too fixated on Lisa. Yeah, that's not surprising. Their parents moved to Los Angeles from Florida to try to become actors, but they failed, moved up here for some reason, and now their dad works as a truck driver and their mum I think works at a grocery store. Rachel's family treated formal education and academia in general as a joke and didn't really support the idea of anybody going to college until Lisa decided that she wanted to try going to college herself, as previously mentioned. Haley then interjected, interrupting them and pointing out again that this was not a vacation. This was an archaeological trip and we were going there to do actual work. Haley went on to point out that it's Rachel's name on the plane ticket, yeah, and on our accommodation in Luxor. So she asked Lisa and her mum questions like, how do you think Lisa's gonna get on the plane? Who will Lisa be traveling with in Egypt? And where will Lisa be staying there? Yeah, all they thought about is the fact that they'd take some Instagram photos and their parents could not say no to their precious little baby. Apparently Lisa, despite not even being friends with us at all, and her mum expected the rest of us, me, Haley and Rose, to just somehow convince customs to let her through and get on the flight, as well as expecting us to look after and accompany Lisa. Oh, that's not surprising either. Of course they would expect everybody else to bloody bend over backwards for their precious child. I should also note that apart from Rachel, nobody in her family ever even traveled on a plane before. Lisa and their mum have never been overseas, and the only international traveling their dad has ever done was driving trucks to and from Mexico. That being said, I'm guessing this is why they don't seem to know how plane tickets or customs work, but that's only my assumption. I then pointed out to Lisa that if she really wants to go to Egypt, she could just buy her own tickets to Egypt and book her own accommodation. However, Lisa said that she didn't really want to do any of that, and she wanted Rachel's place in our trip as she wanted all the expenses to be paid for, and for us to accompany her as she didn't want to travel by herself. Lisa and her mum eventually left after seeing that trying to argue and force her way into our trip was not getting them anywhere, with the four of us, me, Haley, Rachel and Rose, flying off to Egypt. Yeah, and guaranteed Lisa's mum would have been like, oh, they're so mean for not letting you go. Like, don't worry, my precious golden child. You're entitled to the world. You're not being unreasonable, they are. After the dig at the Valley of the Kings, we did go get to do some touristy stuff, such as touring Cairo and seeing the pyramids of Giza. As for Lisa, while she does still post a lot on Instagram. She seems to have given up on a modeling and or influencer career as she's now just working in a warehouse. After the pandemic, she did get to go on a vacation to Cancun, but that's about it. Yeah, the top comment, I hate the awful what's yours is mine mentality. I deal with it all too much at my job. Rachel worked her ass off for this trip. She deserves the trip. Lisa can kick rocks and sit on a pine cone. Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it. Yeah, the entitlement is out of control. Like, I deserve it. I should be given everything ever. So give me your plane tickets to Egypt. I don't want to pay for it. Why should I pay for it? Like, yeah, it's infuriating, but it's also really sad. This person feels like they're entitled to everything. Like, yeah, good job, parents. You've created an entitled brat. The next one says, I pay my brother $100,000 a year, and this is what I get. I spent the last 7 years building my business to support myself initially, and now also my brother. He's had a lot of mental health struggles in his 20s, but pushed through it. He left a stable white-collar job that he hated and started a $12 an hour retail gig right before the pandemic. He got furloughed. I happened to get a call from a dream job that I can't refuse, and I spent the next 3 months between training my brother and onboarding to this new company. 4 years after, I get RIF'd, and we're working together again. RIF, I don't know what that means once again. In the context of work, RIF stands for reduction in force, which means a company is permanently eliminating job positions, often as a cost-saving measure due to restructuring, economic downturns, or other business changes. Okay, so I guess that's what they mean. You'd think that he'd be grateful, or maybe you wouldn't, considering that we're on the Entitled People subreddit. He makes $100,000 a year doing work that should take 6 hours a day max. I don't tell him when to work. I don't restrict his time off. He chooses what orders he wants to accept or reject. He's got the ability to make $150,000 a year if he wanted to put in a full day's work. Sounds great, right? Wrong. He complains about it constantly. He has to respond to client inquiries from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m, but because he's so busy, he needs my help, despite the fact that I already answer all messages outside of business hours and on weekends. If he sees that a message hasn't been responded to in an hour, and I said that I wasn't helping that day, he berates me for not communicating that I'm offline and accuses me of not doing my job. He constantly tells me that I don't care about the business, all the while I'm literally completing double his workload, covering 3 times more hours of client chats. He's told me that I need to tell him if I'm not going to be available and when I'm going to go offline, even though my schedule has zero impact on his responsibilities or expectations as an employee. I'm frustrated. I'm feeling like the actual roles here are reversed, and in reality, he's just a super entitled brat. This comment says, look at me, I'm your brother now. The one below that says, need a new employee. The top comment says, fire him. OP responded, you're not wrong. I would rather hire somebody who's grateful and won't constantly complain about what I'm doing. Yeah, for sure, OP, that's understandable. The next one says, I got Karen today in a parking lot while my toddler screamed in the back seat. Just need to vent. Today was one of those days where you just think, wow, people really suck sometimes. Oh yeah, one of those days. I was parked getting out of my car when the wind blew my door open gently. It barely touched the car next to mine. No visible dent, just a possible mark. I immediately acknowledged it and I offered to exchange info. When I explained that it was the wind, not to avoid responsibility but to clarify that it wasn't a careless act, she cut me off with, no, something like this happened before and it cost me $2,000. My car's new. At that point, it felt less like she was assessing real damage and more like she was trying to guilt trip and manipulate me. She even pointed out a completely unrelated mark further down and insisted that that was my door too, which made no sense based on how the door touched it, and then it escalated fast. She started filming me and my toddler who was crying in his car seat, scared and confused. She threatened to call the police. I was trying to stay calm, juggle my phone, pull up my insurance app and soothe my child, and she just kept the camera on us. I could feel my son's distress behind me, and that's when I lost it emotionally and I called 911 myself. I didn't feel safe or respected, and I needed a neutral record of what was happening. After I gave her my info, I went back into the car to comfort my son, who by then was screaming and crying from the stress. I looked up and she was still filming us. I was literally just trying to calm my scared toddler, and she kept her phone pointed at us like it was some kind of show. That moment broke me, and it didn't stop there. When I'd showed her that I'd called 911, she told the police that I'd banged on her window, which was absolutely false. I simply held up my phone near the window to show her the call screen. She also accused me of locking my child in the car without any air circulation. Oh, how dare she? Which was so far from the truth. I was right there, the window was cracked, the AC was on. It was just another manipulative accusation meant to make me panic. She even lied about having the same insurance as me, USAA, when I first mentioned mine, but it turned out that she was with Geico. Just just more weird, unnecessary power moves. I know that she probably assumed that she could intimidate me because I'm an immigrant, English isn't my first language, and I look like somebody who might not push back, but I didn't back down. Yeah, good job, OP. I gave her my info, I made the call, and I stood my ground. My husband showed up by an Uber when I called him, and for the first time in the whole interaction, I felt like I wasn't alone. I'm still feeling the stress hours after, but I'm proud of how I handled it. I didn't yell, I didn't film her back, I didn't escalate, I protected my son and I kept my dignity, because I want him to grow up knowing that we don't back down from unfairness. We don't let people shame us into silence. And even when our hearts are pounding, we speak up. Thank you for letting me unload this here. I just needed to breathe it out somewhere real. Yeah, some people are awful. Being an a-hole, completely blowing the situation out of proportion because they want to. The top comment says, F that lady. I hope you took lots of pictures of the damage to show your insurance company when she lies to them, so that they can ask her for the videos as evidence of the damage that she claims. Yeah, like, why are they trying to make this situation so much worse than it has to be? For fun? Like, do you like this or something? Oh, that's insufferable. I usually try to think about something funny in these stories, but there's nothing funny about this one. I feel so sorry for OP, but you handled this so well, OP. The next one says, entitled patient demands to be seen during a medical emergency. I just saw a similar-ish post that reminded me of this unfortunate memory. This was a few years ago now, but it never fails to aggravate me. I used to work as a receptionist at a fairly busy medical clinic. It was the day before a major holiday, so the mood was jolly, and it was an uncharacteristically slow day in the office. We had a patient and his wife no-show in the morning. No phone call, no reschedule, no nothing. Naturally, after about half an hour, their appointment is cancelled. Things are running smooth until we see a patient who was recently released out of the hospital and is following up with us. They look extremely unwell. By this point, my spidey senses are tingling that something's about to go down. Mid-doctor's visit, the patient suddenly loses consciousness and begins coding. Cardiac arrest. Everything's in literal chaos. The doctor and the medical assistant are performing CPR while I'm on the phone frantically trying to get EMS out there ASAP. The spouse is crying and screaming and the patients are slowly trickling in to witness this all in plain sight. Naturally, most people were kind of concerned, giving a space to work, silently signing in their names and taking a seat. And an entitled person is going to be like, hey, stop what you're doing. Everything in the world is about me. Like, I know that you're going into cardiac arrest on the floor, but I'm more important, okay? Of course, it's all during this frenzy that an entitled patient walks in. As I'm finishing up my emergency call, they begin tapping repeatedly on the glass. Entitled patient, hey, we're here for our appointment. I hope the wait isn't going to be long. Also, very rude that you were on the phone when we walked in. Oh my god, get out. Me, I apologize. As you can see, we're currently in the middle of an emergency. Also, your appointment was over 2 hours ago. It's already been cancelled. Entitled patient, yeah, I know we're a little late, but can't you guys just fit us in somewhere? I mean, we're already here now. Why can't we just have the person who's dying on the floor's appointment? No. Oh my god. They're not gonna be using it. That was their actual words. How is this a real person? Oh no, this is bad. Me? What the f? No, that's not how this works. Your appointment's cancelled and you're gonna have to reschedule for another day. We're currently dealing with a life or death emergency. Entitled patient, wow, this is such bull. Unbelievable. You guys could have squeezed us in the whole time. It would have taken like 5 minutes tops. The doctor could have seen us while the paramedics handled the other person. You all just wasted our time. We're never coming back to your office. Yeah, good, never come back. And thank God for the time I worked there, I never did see them again. Oh, and thankfully our patient survived and is doing great. That's actually disgusting though. Why can't we just have the person who's dying on the floor's appointment? They're not gonna be using it. That's actually what they said. Yeah, that's enough entitled people for today. Let's read something wholesome. When you're attempting to sleep but you hear your cat destroying everything you own. Yeah, wow, that's a relatable post. This guy is so bad at that. There's a bed behind me over there. We used to sleep in this room but we don't anymore. But when we did, oh my god, waking up at 4 in the morning because he's diving off something. He's trying to jump onto the wardrobe up there behind me. He's sprinting into the blind super loud. The mirror behind me over here, he almost knocked that over a few times. I love him so much, but he can be so noisy. Thank you for watching, everybody. That was such a wild episode. I'll definitely be doing more entitled people reactions. That was super fun. Like always, super fun, but also super infuriating. But yeah, subscribe if you want to, everybody. And And the comment of the day goes to Super Swoop. And you know what I'm about to say, because I say it every other day, would go pretty hard. Yeah, that's a good one. I'll try that in today's episode. Thank you for the suggestion. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the support. I know these episodes are aggravating, but I also hope they're fun to watch as well. And yeah, I really appreciate your support, everybody. And I'll see you in the next episode. So make sure you look after yourself. Make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And you know what I'm about to say, because I say it every other day. Bye!